All right. Jules is not here. Abigail, are you here?
I am.
Okay.
I'm
Rebel?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm here.
Okay, great.
Jules. Yeah.
That's Rebel, right? Rebel, you're here, right? No, okay. Zinnia? Gerardo? Stephanie?
I'm here.
Connor? Vinny?
I'm here.
Dennis? Sydney?
Here.
Samuel? Idali?
Here.
Joshua?
Here.
Amber?
I'm here.
Jose? Santiago?
I'm here.
Vanessa? Grace? Diego?
I'm here.
Jack? All right, let me just quickly kind of call those names who I did not hear from. Do we have Jules with us?
I'm here.
Robel?
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm
I'm here.
Yes, I'm here.
Jules is here?
Yes, I'm
Oh,
here.
okay, all right, sorry.
Robbie here as well.
Do we have Rebel?
Yes.
Rebel is also here. Okay, do we have Zinnia?
Yes, here.
Okay. Do we have Gerardo? Connor? Dennis? Samuel? Jose? Vanessa?
I'm here.
Vanessa is here. Okay. Grace? All right. And Jack? All right. Let me just check whether anybody is waiting for me. No, no text messages, no calls. Let me just check in with email. If anybody left a message on my email. Okay, there is. Okay, I'm in the Jose is here, I guess. All right. But if there is anybody. All right, no, all right. So no one else is joining in. All right. Jose. All right. So we'll begin. I don't see anybody who is waiting for me or, I think most of us are all here. So let's see how many of us are here today. We have how many participants today? Okay, we have about 15 of us here. So we have few missing. But a session is being recorded while, while our class is going on. So I should be able to send you the recording of, okay, Jack, thank you. Thank you. I haven't marked you present because I just finished the attendance, but I will mark you present. So hopefully everybody was able to get a recording of our class. Remember, my phone died. I wasn't, last class, some of you joined us online and some of you were there physically. And as I've mentioned to you, send you all an announcement and an email, which kind of lists the days that we are going to be seeing each other online completely, and there are days where we are going to see each other on face to face. So I just wanted to show that to you. Kind of highlighted it here, but give me a second so that we are all here, and this is a good time for me to show it to you. Here it's all in the announcement section, class, so you should not have any issues, if you're, if you're kind of, oh, I don't want to get into the syllabus, open it, you can just go to the announcement and see these are the days that if you see today, and I kind of took off those days because those days are over. So if we, today is a Zoom class, so you know that you have to meet on Zoom. Mondays also, though it's a Monday and we are supposed to meet face to face, we have a workshop that day for which it'll be just helpful for us to be online rather than be in class with everybody discussing and talking and getting disturbed. Here we are going to be, in our respective homes, in our respective breakout rooms with the mute function and everything. So it'll be easier for us to do that. Then, as you know, that all speeches will be on Zoom. Okay, it's going to be uniform for everybody. All the speeches are going to be on Zoom. So you have Zoom. All these are all the days that we are going to meet on Zoom. Okay. Then there's a face-to-face session. As you can see, if I've written face-to-face, that means physically we have to meet each other. So this is one day, and then Zoom, face-to-face, Zoom. All right, face-to-face. It lists everything. So you should be able to quickly look at it and kind of know, but you'll anyways get reminders from me. All right. So that's that. Now we are going to what we discussed today. So last time, not today, but last time. So one of the things that I have to show you is where we are on your syllabus. So I will pull up the screen. 1 second here. All right, so I'm going to pull up the screen. Monday, Wednesday. All right, okay. Share screen, Monday, Wednesday. All right, so here we are. Now Monday, Wednesday scheduled. So today is the 28th. If you see class, as I kind of mentioned to you all also in our last class, this is where we are, okay? And today we'll be doing a lot of writing, kind of starting the work as fast as possible today. And then we have the workshop. We'll have your homework for next week will be to write the whole speech. And then we are going to meet on Zoom on Monday. We are going to have all our outlines written out, and then from the 5th onwards, we are doing our profile speech. So we don't have a whole lot of time, but still, this is a good point for us to kind of touch base and see where we are going with our class, our semester, any homework, all of that. Okay. So here we go. I will now stop sharing this one and go back to what we discussed. So class, remember in our on Monday, 2 days back when we met in class, we talked a great deal about the whole writing process. We talked about storytelling, and I asked you all in class whether you have, we talked about the three prompts, which is silence, disguise, or resilience. And then I went through the whole class one by one, and each of you told me kind of your preference, and some of you were not decided. Kind of, you said that, okay, I'm kind of leaning towards maybe resilience, but I'm also thinking about silence. So some of you did not decide at that point. So first thing in your homework, I wanted to know by this time you should kind of solidify and know which story prompt are you going to choose, whether it is a disguise or resilience or silence. That's the first thing. And the second thing that I said that I'm going to ask you all is I would have liked you to, I got you introduced to the Moth channel, and I said that review, one or more speeches and tell me which one did you like. So hopefully everybody has a response to that question. Everybody got an opportunity to look at the Moth channel and look at some of the speeches and just tell me which were the ones that they liked, and kind of frame your response through some of the parameters that we discussed in terms of storytelling. First was conflict or problem. As I mentioned, there is no story without, or there's no drama without conflict, and no conflict without drama. So so I would like to know, any of the speeches that you watch, whether you like the conflict that they talked about, whether there were characters in the story, whether there were dialogues, inner dialogues with the narrator himself or herself, whether the very strong use of metaphors. What did you think was very good in that speech? Okay, so that's the second thing that I want to know. So let's go to the first question. Is I would I'm going to go according to, one second here, go according to participants here, and let's see, let me pull it up, and then you can respond. So let's see, Abigail is the first person who comes on. I think it's alphabetically arranged. So Abigail, you're here, and I would like to know, which speech prompt did you choose among the three? And if you could also let us know about the speech that you liked on the Moth channel. Any speech that you liked on the Moth channel.
So I'm definitely gonna do resilience.
1 second, your voice is okay. Let me just crank it up. Yes, now you can say. Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna do resilience. I know that, and I think I'm between like 2 stories I might do for it. I just don't know yet which one has more information and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then the video I did was like, it was a teenager, like he had like family issues, but it was during Christmas, and so he was like buying presents, and the conflict was he got in a car crash, and he like his heart stopped or something, and his parents, rather than going to him, they went to the car to see like how bad it was, and all his friends visited him instead of his parents, so he figured like he figured what love was and how friends were there for him rather than his parents. That's all.
Wow. Wow. How long was the speech?
It was like 6 minutes.
6 minutes? Wow. I haven't, do you remember which is this, was the speech chosen from
Yeah,
US
I
or?
took a picture of it. It was Matthew Ditz, and
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Yeah, but not the same person, not the same person that we saw, right? Matthew Dix, was it the same person?
No, because
No.
didn't we see a girl?
Okay, okay. Well, I'll look it up. I'll look it up, this one. If you can, tell me the title or something, and then I'll look it up. It seems to be very nice, very unusual, because that's something unexpected, right? Because you will expect your parents to be the most concerned about you. Who would even think that friends, and looking at the car instead of him. So, okay. Thank you for sharing. All right, Amber.
So I chose to go with the topic of resilience, and a speech that I really enjoyed watching was by a man named Steve Glickman, and his whole story was just like a funny, unfortunate accident. He was going to go on a vacation, and he lost his passport, so he kind of laid low for a couple days and didn't want anyone to know his little mistake, because everyone else that his friends, his teammates, were all going to go on vacation, and he couldn't. So when he finally got back, he kind of avoided questions and made up stories and things like that about how his vacation was fine. He liked going to the beach and all this kind of things, and everyone was buying into it, but he didn't want to tell the truth. And then at the end, he was going through some stuff, and he felt something hard in one of his jacket pockets, and it was actually his passport. And so he was exasperated.
Oh my God. Your Amber, your story reminds me of, actually, this really happened my really good, almost my best friend. So she works for American Airlines, and their whole team just went to Philippines for a event that they had to attend. So there was a group, and one of the guys in the group, I can't remember his name right now, but what happened is he had lost his passport, and he declared it, because if you lose your passport, you're supposed to declare it. Now that's another thing. So he had declared it that he'd lost his passport, and then he got it back. And then he didn't, he forgot, he didn't even, I don't know whether he forgot or probably he did not know that once you got back your passport, you're supposed to, just like you've notified the authority, the US
Right.
passport, that you've lost, you have to let them know that you've got it back. He did not. And he flew to the Philippines. And then when he reached there, then they said that they will not allow him in this country because they're considering it as fraud. Because they're thinking that he's probably forged because his passport is listed as lost and not,
Wow.
so he's lost and it's fraud, and there's a lot of terrorist activities, I guess, they're going on there. So they said that you can't come to the country. But so the whole team had to, it was like a major crime drama going on at that point. My friend told me, and she had to actually go back. He couldn't enter the country. He went back somehow. Then another ticket was arranged, and he was able to go back. But well, a lesson for all of us that if you lose your passport, you notify it. If you get it back, notify them again. So
Right.
this story reminds us. Thank you for sharing. All right, that was Amber for us. We just had Abigail, then we heard Amber. Now we have Diego. Diego, what do you please share with us? Well, first of all, what's your theme?
For my theme, I chose silence.
Okay, all right.
And for the video that I watched, it's called The Prom.
Okay.
It's about this high school senior who is
All right.
about to graduate, and prom is coming up also, and he's thinking about not going and just skipping it, but his family and his friends are all like pushing him to like go and to just have fun. So he finally decides to like go, and at first he was just standing at the back near the wall, just not moving, not doing really anything, not having fun. But then he finally decides that since it's prom and it's his last day as a senior, he decides to go on the dance floor and he starts dancing and finally having a good time.
Okay. That's right. So this is I guess this is a US, from US, the speakers from US, right? From our home
Yes.
country. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you for sharing. Nice. All right. That was Diego for us. Idali, what do you have?
You said Italy?
Idali, yes, I did.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I'll do. I think I'll do discuss.
This guys.
And one speech that I really liked was one about this girl that I think she's Latina, and she asked her mom to if she can hang out with her friends, and they were supposed to be girls, but they were all boys. And she was like 12, and they didn't realize it was very late. So when she came back home, she was going back home, and then her mom called her, and she was all scared because she thought she was gonna be punished because it was really late. So when she picked up the phone, her mom told her not to go back home. So she was like, she thought it was because of the punishment, but it wasn't. It was just because I think a girl in her building or something got robbed on the elevator. So
Okay, all right.
so
Okay.
she realized she was like, it was not the big deal to be punished. It was
Right, right.
just really dangerous for us, like girl
Okay.
to be
That
out.
was the real reason, not that she
Yeah.
was nice. Okay, all right. Thank you. That was Idali for us. Jack, what do you have?
So my topic was resilience, and the video that I chose was this lady speaking. Her name was Angela Duckworth. She was a math teacher who was teaching middle schoolers, and she, in her job, kind of noticed that even though there are some kids who might have been like IQ smarter, there are some kids who have what she calls quote unquote grit. And she kind of explaining her theory almost of resilience itself. And I think that would be a good topic.
Nice. That's quite this kind of a topic. I would probably expect this kind of a topic for a TED Talk. But it's interesting how it's good to know that this topic was shared on a storytelling platform. Because right when you just mentioned a school teacher, and then the whole thing about, there's a very similar speech actually on TED Talk about grit, and the fact that
Yeah, it's actually the same person.
Yeah.
I watched hers like a few years back. It's really good.
Oh, okay. Nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, there is a TED Talk. It's where I found her originally. I was kind of looking her up.
Okay. And then she was, oh no, interesting. Okay, grit. And that's when you think about that metaphor, grit is something that you use it quite consistently. All right, thank you. That was Jack for us. Okay. We had Jack, Abigail, Diego, Idali. All right, Jose.
For my speech, I'm gonna go with resilience.
Okay. All right.
And for the math speeches, I listened to one that was called Twin Cities Main Stage. It basically talked about like how like this the one who was speaking, the speaker, he was from a completely different like social and like how he was living, because his family used to be farming, and when he like went to school, he only see like a lot of like different types of styles of dressing. So he basically was like a sore thumb in the crowd.
Okay.
So what he decided to do was like decided to go against like his parents' rules, and he decided to like get this type of perm in his hair to hoping to grab attention and be popular. But at the end of the day, he just regretted it, because the next day was like a picture day, and his parents literally were driving him to the picture studio, and they didn't even talk, as he describes, that they didn't even talk throughout the whole ride. Like it was just complete silence. Like it just demonstrated how like mad they were.
Okay, all right. So they didn't approve of his trying to fit in.
Yeah. I think they thought of it as a rebellious phase in a way.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, rebellious phase, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. This actually, it's a good example. A little bit of sharing my story with you. So my son had his homecoming last week, and it so happened that I had invited, a few, just a couple for one of our friend and his wife. For dinner, and so I was busy that day, so he had scheduled a haircut appointment the day of his proms, the day before his prom. So, and I said that, listen, if it goes bad, then you're going to be stuck with that whole picture. And he actually wanted to go perm his hair. I said, that's going to be quite a huge step that you're taking. Do you think just before, don't do anything big just before a main event, which is going to, you're going to have those pictures forever. But it so happened that I couldn't take him to the salon because I was busy that day. So now that you mentioned this, he's a teenager. So I think I'm thinking about through my own experience, more than a rebellious thing, he just wanted to change his look. So, but that didn't happen. And just the day that when he was going for his homecoming. But thank you for sharing the story. And now that you've said this, you told me your story. Now I've kind of added another new perspective in my mind. Next time he tells me he wants to do something else. Right. Okay. Thank you. That was Jose for us. Let's hear from Josh.
The topic for my speech is silence.
Okay.
And the video I watched was from David Lepelstadt.
Okay.
And it was about, I guess the theme was family, where he lived in the city, but every year there was an annual pool party, like a family pool party out in the suburbs. So he found it exciting to leave the city. And at the pool party, there was an uncle Michael, who was dating another, like his biological uncle.
Okay.
And at this pool party, on the way there, he had a childhood phase of superheroes. So
What? Childhood what?
of superheroes.
Oh, okay.
And his favorite color was red. So his
Okay.
favorite superhero at the time was the Flash. So on his way to the pool party, he thought that he had super speed. So they get to the pool party, and right as he gets in there, him and his brother jump into the pool. And his brother's a little older, so he knows how to swim, and he's swimming around the pool.
Okay.
But David, he doesn't know how to swim. He's only 5. So he just gets really jealous, and he also starts to get worried about Uncle Michael and him not noticing him because he can't swim, because Uncle Michael is at the pool party, but he's grilling. He's not paying attention to them.
Okay.
So David decides to use his super speed to get Uncle Michael's attention, and he tries to use his super speed to get to the deep end of the pool, but instead of going really fast, he ends up drowning. So he starts drowning, his eyes start closing, and then all of a sudden he just feels a pull, and he's out of the pool, and he just opens his eyes and he sees Uncle Michael, and then that's when he's put inside the house and he's put in the bed and he falls asleep. But after that, he realizes his definition of family changed to where it isn't just, because before this he used to just think that blood and like being related defined family, but there meant just anyone who cared for him or would take him out of a pool.
Wow, this is interesting. My goodness. All right, thanks for sharing. See, I get to know, I probably I would have missed all these features that you guys are mentioning. Now I get to know through all of you. Thank you. All right, that was Josh for us. We have Jules now. Jules.
I read or watched the one with Lin-Manuel Miranda. It was a little bit longer, but the story started out with him talking about he went to I think it was Rent, the musical.
Okay.
And that's like kind of where he found like his passion. Like he realized he wanted to write musicals, and then it goes on to his first like written musical. I think he was in college or high school. And he talks about how like he realized that he was writing something like he didn't realize while he was writing, but as he was watching the performance, he realized he was writing about a memory from his past, when he was younger, one of his like best friends had died. She drowned because like her parents, both of them thought that they were watching other, like they were didn't realize no one was watching her.
Okay.
And he realized that that had came back into his like writing in the future. But yeah, he talks a lot about like basically like finding his passion and how like things will come back to you from the past, and they like really shape who you are.
This is very unique. I have one very, very interesting, right? At how first A has kind of multiple themes, has how he finds his passion, and then that whole anecdotal reference to the past about his losing his friend and how that comes back to him in his musicals, in the way he writes.
Yeah. So once he wrote Hamilton, like he a lot of people like, because Hamilton has like a lot of like deaths in it, and people were like, how do you like how does that come to your writing? And he was like, he like has like a connection with it, and it came naturally to him because he had experienced a really like close person to him die.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Beautiful. Okay. That was Jules for us. And Jules, just remind me, which theme did you say that you're doing?
Oh, sorry, I didn't say. Silence.
Okay. Silence. Okay, so that's Jules for us. Abigail, Amber, Diego, Idel, Jack, Jose, Josh, Jules, Rebel.
Yes.
Hi.
Okay, so the topic I choose for my profile speech is gonna be silence.
Okay.
I think that's something I can relate to a lot. Like growing up back home as a Muslim girl in Pakistan from a middle class background, it was something I think I can get a story out of it.
Totally. Okay.
Yeah. So the video I chose is Love Hurts by Eric Miller.
Okay.
So he was in a long marriage for 20 years. And so out of the dating game, that the last time he dated was before like there were cell phones around and like speed dating was a thing. So after his divorce, like getting back into dating was like hard for him. So there was this one day he got introduced to this girl, and he was baffled by how things had changed and how fast and how open everything was, because like the first time they exchanged numbers and decided to meet later, he got a text from the same girl to take his stuff from her house, mistaking him from her previous hookup. And yeah, like she sent him a black like t-shirt and stuff, like she's like, get this from like, look what you have left at my house. I was like, what? And then she messaged like, oh my god, I don't know,
Sent
like
to the wrong
I did
person.
this. Yes, wrong person, I'm so sorry. Well, like it's his mistake that he still went on a date with her.
Oh
yeah, he still went on a date with her. And yeah, and like they went on a date. It was quite nice. She did not do monogamy, and he did not know any other way because he was married for 20 years and had kids and everything. But he still decided to give it a try anyway. Where like fate had it that the same thing happened again, where he was like out and about, like on a beach surfing, because he's from Philadelphia. That's what he does.
Okay.
And he saw the same girl with another guy. And and there were just three, four people on the beach, and they just saw each other. And yeah, it was like he could see like a couple coming from like far away, and he could see them like as like they would come near, and there was shock on the girl's face and on his face. So that happened.
What are the odds? What are the odds?
What are the odds? It was like fate was telling them something, but they were not getting the hint. Yeah, but then again, the girl apologized. She was like, no, he was scheduled before I met you.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Funny.
So that
all right.
happened.
Thank you for sharing. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. And they saw each other for a whole year after that. So I mean, they did not get the hint. They dated for a year.
Oh,
There
they
you go.
did it for you. Okay. So
Mhm.
that's the resolution. Okay. All
That's the
right.
resolution. That it hurts, but you gotta
Yes.
move past that
Oh,
and
good,
date
good.
people
And
anyway.
date people. Good,
Yeah,
good, good. Because he had a pretty dry spell for so many years.
for
So
so many
now
years.
going back to you. Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, that was Rebel for us. We have Samuel.
Zanaya.
Oh, sorry, Zanai. Okay, all right. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey.
My
I don't know why your
topic
name
was.
didn't come. It straight away went to Samuel's name. All right, thank you. Yeah.
Oh wait, Samuel. Okay, not Zanaya.
No, you can. Okay. Whoever is ready. Samuel, if you're
Okay,
ready.
well I'm already right here. So I picked silence, and I had saw a podcast called Detroit Miami Story. I mean Detroit Chicago Story or something like that.
Okay.
And basically it was about like a teen who's like learning how to drive her first car, but she wanted to like drive a stick shift car because she thought she would be cooler. And I think her dad like tried to teach her in a parking
To
lot.
a stick shift.
Yeah, stick shift. And I guess like she was 16 and like she would switch cars with her dad or something like that. And I guess she like crashed his car and she didn't mean to because she didn't really know how to like drive stick shift. It was her like first time really on her own doing it, and she crashed it the first time.
Oh wow.
And I guess it was just like a lesson learned.
Lesson learned. Okay. Don't be too ambitious.
Yeah.
Put things into perspective, be realistic. Oh gosh. Thank you. Funny. All right. That was Zinnia for us. And Zinnia, I do pronounce, am I pronouncing your name correct? The stress is on Z, on N. Zinnia.
Zanayas. I have an apostrophe.
Zanaya.
The Z
Zanaya
and a-
and Zanaya and then Zanaya. I have to think about it that way.
or
Okay,
you can
Zanaya.
just call me Z if that's easy.
Z. No, and I would like to pronounce just the way you want to it. I'll try.
Yeah.
That's okay. Zanaya. Right. Okay. It's a beautiful name, by the way.
Thank you.
So that was Zanaya for us. Then we have Samuel.
I'm gonna go with resilience. But I didn't watch any video.
You know, that's okay. All right. You just you're going to go with resilience. That's what you've decided
Yeah.
on. Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. All right, that was Samuel for us. Then we have the last Sydney.
All right, so the video that I watched was the Dante Jackson. So it's basically his experience with high school. So I think Diego and I actually watched the same video, but basically prior to him going to prom, he was like super nervous and he really didn't want to go. And then basically his family and friends kind of encouraged him to go for his first time. And then so basically he went and he just kind of like stood against the wall the entire time, and like he really didn't want to get involved or do dancing and stuff.
Right.
So then basically the DJ kind of forces everyone to dance and basically goes, if you're not on the dance floor, like people come grab them and get them involved and whatnot. So he ends up having to do that, and at first he was like doing like a little shuffle or whatever, and then slowly he gets like more into it, and eventually like he was inside of like a dance circle where everyone was cheering him on because he was doing his things.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was that story.
That was that, yeah.
And the topic I want to do is resilience.
Resilience, wonderful. Thank you. Give me a second. I'm just, I know that Valeria, you're going to be the last speaker here, but give me a second, just, yeah, Vanessa, okay, Vanessa and Valeria, yeah, give me just a second here, okay? 1 second. Class, give me like a minute. I have to move from this room to the next room. It will take me just about 1 minute, okay? Sorry about that, class. I'm back. Okay. All right. Here we go. We had Vanessa. Let's go with Vanessa, and then I think our last person, unless I've missed anybody, our last person will be Valeria. Vanessa, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think the topic that I'm gonna do is resilience.
Okay.
And the video that I watched was by Mark Lukács. I think that's how you say it. The video is called How to Love Through Mental Illness. And it's honestly just a sad story about how one day he got home or whatever, and like his wife was talking about like suicide. So she was going through a lot, and she ended up being mentally ill and being diagnosed with like bipolar disorder, and she had to be checked into a hospital, mental hospital. And honestly, he said that it was hard for him or whatever, because he said something about like love being hard because of the things that you do for a person that you love or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was just really sad. But at the end, she was getting like better. But it was just like a whole lot that they had to go through.
Wow. And were they married or?
Yeah, they were married. He said he fell in love with her at 18, and they said they got married or whatever. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Mhm.
All right. Okay. Yes, Winnie, I'm sorry. I absolutely, you will go. So Valeria, let's go, and then Winnie, and if I've missed anybody else. Valeria.
The topic I chose is resilience. And the video I was gonna talk about was like the prom one that Sydney and I think Diego
Oh,
watched.
wow. It's a lot of you. Okay. Sydney, Diego, and you. Okay. Love that.
Yeah. But there was another one that I really like called The Bad Joke.
Okay.
And it just basically talks about like the speaker is called Adriana, I think.
Okay.
And she just talks about how like when she was younger, her brother told like her dad a joke, and he laughed so much that like he like fainted from like laughing. So he ended up going to the hospital, and they like ran a lot of like tests on him, like trying to figure out like why would laughing make you like faint, and like yeah, but they couldn't find like a medical reason for that. So the doctor just told him like do not tell the joke, because every time he told the joke he like felt like dizzy.
Are you
and
serious?
stuff 'cause from laughing.
Are you
Yeah.
serious?
So like the solution was just like stop telling the joke. And the family is like not allowed to talk about it, because I guess the dad laughed so much about it that
Oh, wow. This is quite an unusual one.
I
That
actually
was the
watched that
doctor's
same video.
solution to the problem. Don't say that joke so he doesn't laugh and then he doesn't pass out. Wow. All right. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. All right. Winnie?
Hi. The topic I chose was resilience, and I also watched the one that was How to Love Through Mental Illness.
Okay.
And like she said, it was about a guy who he elaborated on his point of view on what loving someone who is mentally ill was like. And he talked about how like when he fell in love with her at 18, he didn't sign up for like all the mental illness and everything that comes along with it. And so it was really hard for him to like come to accept the fact that she's mentally ill and that she may never get better. But then nearing the end of the speech, he told them like that she was starting to get better and that she got better with like medication and things. Because like at one point they said she was acutely psychotic, so she might have needed electrotherapy, but the medication ended up working, and so she got better.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Wow. So many stories. So tell me something, did I miss anyone here?
Me.
Yes. And who's this?
Santiago.
Oh, Santiago, please do tell me.
So the theme of my story was silence, and the story slam I chose was called The Secret Letter. And basically it's the conflict was, or the summary of the letter was, Paola, which was her name, is worried about her family's reaction when they find out she is gay. And so the rising action was Paola's mom was going through Paola's room to clean it. And the climax was Paola notices a letter from her girlfriend on the floor and realizes her mom could have read it while she was going through her things. And the resolution, Paola ends up coming out to her parents and is now happy that she doesn't have to hide the fact that she is gay from her parents.
Okay. Wow. Okay. This is again a very different one that we heard. Okay, coming out. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else who I left? And Santiago, what's the theme that you have chosen? If just remind me.
Silence.
Silence. Have I left anyone?
I didn't get to go yet.
Okay, Stu.
So the theme I chose was going to be resilience, and then the video I watched was by Methoni Garland. She was born in Nairobi, and that at the time in 1977, when the story was taking place, there was an American artist who was there, and at the time the parents were very conservative in terms of like foreign culture. So the entire story is about how she and basically every other kid in her neighborhood snuck out to go see this concert. And it just goes through how difficult the journey was to get there and how hard it was to sneak out. And then the next morning after they get back from the concert, their parents are reading a newspaper and there's a picture basically with them in it on a newspaper. And their parents didn't seem to get mad or anything, but it was just kind of how she went through that entire journey. It was kind of funny how they were on the newspaper the next day.
Oh God, next day they end up on a newspaper. You know, that reminds me, Stephanie, this is something that I'll always remember. I was only in the actually I was not even in first grade. I was about to get into first grade, and I was in India, and it was my very first trip, first time ever on the plane. So you can imagine the amount of excitement that I had, you know, going on the plane. And at that point, not a whole lot, I'm talking about really very, very back, like quite a bit back, you know, so perhaps, you know, about, you know, four decades back. So at that point, you know, taking the plane ride wasn't that very common. So it was very, 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 very exciting for me. And I was able to, I was able to read by you know, first grade. I was not that well, but at least, you know, I could read. So we were all like, you know, we got our seats on the flight, and, you know, they would have those little candies. I still remember my dad would go on these, you know, he would travel and then he would get us those candies. So I was very excited to get those candies again. And this is way back in India. Okay. So, and we sit on the plane, and then they used to give us, at that point, they would give us newspaper. Okay, it was a morning flight with breakfast and about maybe 2 hours of flight, and they would give us newspapers. So I saw the newspaper, and guess what? The very first page, I was old enough to understand that, on the very first page of the newspaper, we are sitting on the plane has taken off. We are now in mid-air, and the very first part of the newspaper with this big a picture, like a big picture, first page, they talked about the first air crash that happened a day back during that year. My first trip, getting up on the plane, opening the newspaper. I don't even remember whether I opened it or my dad opened it. And I looked at it. The very first picture was there was a flight, a huge plane, and there was a crash, and they reported that. So on the picture, that just reminded me. It's and that was a pretty scary one. So you know, there's certain things you never forget. I'll never forget that incident because I was, I never had any fright or I was never scared. But that was the first time it really hit me hard that it's in the air, and the first thing that we see is this the crash that has been reported. So yes, but yours is a funny one, I'm sure. To see themselves on the newspaper would be funny, right, Stephanie? Okay, thank you everybody. Is there anybody who I missed? No? Okay, all right. Thank you very much, all of you, for sharing your story. I can just tell you one thing is there was not a single moment that I felt my attention got diverted. I was with all of you, with all your stories. Okay. Having said that, that's the power of a story. I at least, and I'm sure even I'm sure that I think our feelings or our thoughts will resonate here. It's very hard to get bored in at least and especially when you have this little clips that you were presenting about the story. Every single one of them, I was like glued to your story and what you're going to tell me. So that's the power of storytelling, because it's all about, as we talked about, it's about human situations, especially the ones that you are talking about. Most of them, actually, all of them are human situations. And as human beings, we, as Aristotle has also said, that we human beings are the best storytellers, and we love to listen to stories, and we love to respond to stories. Okay, and we love telling stories. So it just all comes together. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, class, today we will do a little bit of writing. Okay, so it's right, let me see the time. We have just about exactly an hour left for the class to get done. So I would like you to, start writing your speech. Okay. So and you don't have to submit this. I'll touch base with you at every point. I would like you to, kind of draft it out. Just draft it out. Okay. How do you do that? I would like you to, now that you have, and this is what I wanted to ask you, is that now that you have, you've already solidified, the speech, the prompt that you are choosing, which could be the silence, disguise, or resilience. You now know the concept of a conflict, okay, that, or a problem that will define your story. So you know that you may, again, I'm going to talk about this a little bit. You may, in your story, you may have one conflict, like we just, remember the Martha Clooney speech that we watched. It was just about this one conflict that she talked about, which was the one conflict, or one, I'm probably going to rephrase it. I would probably call it not one conflict, but I would call it one incident. Okay. So she talked about one incident, which is the microwave incident. Now you got to think about how many incidents. It's okay if you tell me that I'm going to talk about one incident in my story, that's fine. If you tell me that I'm going to talk about multiple incidents in my story, that's fine too. You don't have to just talk about one incident. If you think you can do a good job by talking or tying together 3 or 4 different incidents that have happened with you, that's totally fine. It depends upon how strong your story, how well you can connect them all together. How, you have 5 minutes only, whether you'll be able to connect all of them together within those 5 minutes. And there should be a sense of consistency. It shouldn't be like, you're leaving us halfway. There should be a sense of completion. So all of that. So you got to frame that. And remember, with your introduction, how would you introduce, your speech? What is it that you're going to talk about in that introduction? Are you going to start your rising action within the introduction, or you're not going to touch on that, and you're just going to use the rising action, climax, and rising action and climax within the body of your speech, and the resolution could be in your conclusion. So what is it that you're going to you would like to do. Again, I don't have a set format here, whatever works for you. You can think about, using the introduction as kind of like an overview, a first step to the rising action, and then definitely develop the climax or the conflict in the body of the speech. Okay, so that's develop it like, that's where the chunk of your speech will be. So if you think about a 5-minute speech, I would probably have about a 90-second introduction and then a 90-second conclusion, and the most part would be about 2.5 minutes of your conclusion. I'm sorry, your body. Okay, so think about that. Try to right now, this is what I would do. You've heard Martha Clooney's story, you heard some stories, you also did your research, and you picked one of the stories that you liked on the Moth podcast, right? So you have a little bit of an idea about storytelling. We've talked about some of the patterns that we see, conflict, rising action, climax, resolution, characters, metaphors. We've talked about all of that. Now I want you to start writing your speech. Now, the way I would do it is what I'm going to do is I am not going to think too much. Okay, so this is how I approach it. It's almost like a stream of consciousness for me. Whatever is coming to my mind in terms of telling the story, I know that there's one or multiple incidents that I'm going to talk about. I'm not going to check myself for grammar, editing, making sense or not. The first time I write, I just write. Okay, I'm not hard on myself for, as I mentioned to you, for content. I'm not hard on myself for grammar, editing. All of that will happen during my third draft. Right now, I just need to fill my paper with whatever is going on in my mind, okay, about the story. So if I ask you to do the first draft, okay, of your speech, how would you plan it? Would you, sometimes this is how I do, I just write down just the points. Okay, this is the first thing that I'm going to talk about this character, or talk about in terms of location. I might say talk about my experience in college, talk about that dinner that happened after that, talk about that friend who helped me, I talk about how I felt through this. So I organize it into points, right? And then I know that, okay, these are the things that I'll be talking about in my story. Now let me flesh it out. Let me just write it out. All right. All editing and all of that content and all of that will happen later on. Let me just flesh it out now. Okay. So what I want you to do is, first is, again, I'm doing this according to a certain process. It may work, it may not work for you. If you have another way of writing, a story, go for it. Okay. I'm very open and more open in the sense that I'm whatever works for you. I will help you with a set pattern or a sequence of steps that I am comfortable with. You may not be comfortable. Writing is a very personal process. You may not be comfortable with the sequence of steps that I'm going through. You may have your own sequence of steps, however you want to do it. So it's completely up to you. I leave it up to you. Okay. But I want you to start writing. If I were you, the first thing that I would do is maybe jot down a few things jot down some of the main things that I would like to talk, almost like a rough, like a few bold points. And then I will start fleshing it out. Okay. So I'm going to give you about, how much time do we have? I want to do the big part of the writing in class. So I'll give you about, I'll give you about 20 minutes. Okay. Whatever you can do within 20, I'm not sure you're not going to probably do a whole lot within this 20 minutes, but let's see. After 20 minutes, we're going to pause and we're going to say, okay, what is it that, how much have we established? Where are we getting stuck? All right. So take about 20 minutes and you can do it on Google Docs or whatever, you have a Microsoft Word or Google Docs, and try to save it. Okay. So let's see if you are able to, let's see how much time we have and how we go through that process. I will try to come and I'll ask you to, I'll like put you in a breakout room, and then I'll just review what you have so far. Okay. And I'll do it individually so that, I only am the only person who can see what you've done. So take about 20 minutes right now. Start writing your speech. The reason that I'm here is that if you are getting stuck at any point, this is my job to kind of go and talk to you and help you out. Okay. Through your writing process. That's why I'm here. So I'll put you put you, all of you, in breakout rooms, like with one person, just you by yourself. And then I'll be coming in intermittently and asking you where you're getting stuck, if you have any questions or anything that I can bounce ideas. If you're getting stuck and said, how do I frame this? Or what do I say here? How do I get out of this point where I just now need to move on to a new section? If you want me to help you with any kind of transitions, I'm here. Okay. So any questions so far, class, regarding this? Okay. So I'm going to put you in these groups, and then you'll see me coming by, stopping over in each breakout room. So each of you, how many of you are here? 17 of you here. So I'll open the breakout rooms and start. You have 20 minutes. Please start writing it, and I will be coming and reviewing it with you. Jules and Samuel, are you guys here? Samuel, room 17. Samuel, are you here? Samuel? All right, class. I think some of you are still in the rooms. I've opened all rooms. No, the rooms are all closed. I'll just get you guys out of the rooms. Okay, 1 second. Exchange move. No. Jules, are you all out? Participants? Are you guys all out of the rooms? Okay. I guess everybody's out of the room. So still have about 13 participants. All right. So here we go, class. I would like all of you. I was able to see some of your work. Some of you, did not have the time to go through everybody's work today. But this is what you have to do for homework. I just want you to write out the draft. Okay. Write out the draft. As I mentioned to you, I think most of you are on a pretty good start. At least this is what I can say for each and every single one of you. I was interested to hear your story. So there you go. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a screen share with you, and I would like you to, this is going to be your homework for, this needs to be turned in by Sunday, which is, today's the 28th. Sunday is the October 2nd. So by October 2nd, this is something that you guys need to do. Here we go. This is a content area. This is your, so this is homework. All right, homework. Make it one word, okay. Homework here. All right, available to users here. So here, once you need to go to homework, and then you need to, this is a file, this is an item. No, I probably want to do that. 1 second here, guys. Cancel. Yeah, assignment. Here we go. So I would like you to post your speech draft. Post your speech draft between 500 to 1,000 words. You know, between 500 to 1,000 words. Again, I'm not really, you know, if you can finish in five minutes, that's what I just write for a 5-minute speech. So I would think between 500 to 1,000 words. Post your profile speech draft here. Everybody needs to turn this in. There is assigned points here. You have about 20 points for submission, and it's due on the 2nd of October and by 11:59 p.m. All right. So post your speech draft. That's it. Keep it very simple. Post your speech profile speech draft here. You're working on this. Keep it going. Keep the momentum and finish it and submit it. Don't think too much about it. Just submit it. We are going to remember we are going to meet online on Zoom. Even though it's a Monday, October 3rd, we are going to go into work in just like we did today. You got a taste of it, but by that time you would have finished your writing your whole speech. And I'm going to go and give you some feedback, some points for editing. And you'll also have a small little focus group with only two to three students in each group. And you'll also be getting advice from your peers. So that's going to be our next class. Yes, yes.
So for the draft, does it have to be a specific format, or can we just write?
Just write, no format, just write. I'm not looking at any particular format. Just the way you're comfortable, just the way you will talk. The only things, that we talked about, certain things that, in terms of it needs to have a conflict. You need to have some characters, if possible. Some dialogues, if possible, again. But go with your own, your own flow of how, if you have to tell a story, you watched a couple of stories, how would you tell your story? Just that draft. Okay. and I'll post a sample draft for you, and I'll share it with all of you. Just a sample draft, and you can look at it if you want to, but I don't want it to kind of influence you or shape your, or you don't have to copy that. You have your own creativity, go according to what works out best for you, but I'll also share a sample one with you. Okay. All right, class. 10:55. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, you can stay back. Other than that, I'll see all of you on Monday with your drafts.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.